tonight.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Sooner Surge live stream. We'll give everyone a minute before we go and get started, let everyone kind of get in here and all that.
Boys, I'm feeling like Coach Chavis tonight. Got the shades, right, Jay? Don't you agree?
Jeremy, what's your shirt say?
We stand together, Boomer Sooner. I hope that's what it says.
So, really, one of the biggest reasons for tonight's live stream is going to be about the Champion Barbecue, the biggest recruiting weekend that Oklahoma does each year, and it's going to be huge this year. So, if y'all got any questions / comments on that, we can go ahead and get them going here in the comment section, and we appreciate all the viewers in here. Once everyone kind of gets in here, we'll kind of get going tonight.
Well, Brody, can you guys hear me good? You got me? Jay, you got me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to say, I heard today on KREF that they had over 70 hotel rooms booked with stuff for today's official visitor weekends with all the players and their families. So we talk about just a massive weekend. Plus the guys that are going to be in here that aren't even 2024 guys. There's some 2025 guys like Devon Mitchell, Kevin Sperry. Obviously, Kevin Sperry is going to be recruiting 2024 guys to help bring along with Michael Hawkins and Devon Mitchell. I mean, he's really one of
Devon Mitchell. Did y'all see the picture on Twitter?
Of which one?
Devon Mitchell.
Yeah, he's bigger than Jason Witten.
Yeah.
You know, Venables talked about the 28 monsters coming in this weekend. That dude is a beast of a human being. He is massive. Hey, Hunter, what's the deal on Witten? I've heard some things on Twitter about him recruiting for OU. Like, what's the deal with that?
From what I've heard is he has a very good relationship with former teammate DeMarco Murray.
Is his son being recruited? Is he at a camp?
I don't know on that.
I thought I heard that maybe his son was at one of the camps. But
his son was at the most recent camp.
And then Witten also knows Jackson Arnold pretty well. He gave him the Gatorade Player of the Year award last December.
Nice. Yeah, Devon Mitchell's a beast, guys. I mean, for a tight end, that dude is – oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you talk about him. Jojon Finley, man, he really hasn't gotten his, big, highly recruited guy yet. And I think Devon Mitchell has a chance to be that elite guy because the highest prospect I believe he's gotten is Caden Helms. And that's no knock on Jojon Finley because the way he's evaluated, he's gotten good players. And just like five-star tight ends don't come around very often. So I think to be able to pull a guy like Devon Mitchell is so key in what he can do for an offense, even his freshman year.
Yeah, but Jackson.
There's some concern that after Austin Stogner leaves after this year, can Caden Helms, Jason Llewellyn, can those guys stay healthy? And if not, Devon Mitchell, I would expect him to be.
Jackson, you're right about Finley, but here's the deal: if OU lands Mitchell, it's probably 85% Michael Hawkins.
That's not.
Yeah.
What?
Accurate.
I don't know about that.
Oh, he's a big
Hawkins' dad, his relationship with Devon Mitchell's dad, they're like best friends and best buddies.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
So it's just that dynamic they have with each other. Obviously, they contributes, but I think that even if Hawkins wasn't committed to OU, that Devon Mitchell and OU would still be right in the thick of that. I still think that would be a good possibility, but I just don't think OU would have as high of a chance.
So Mars Jams, appreciate the comment. I'm assuming you're asking about Jaden Jackson. That is one that Oklahoma not very involved with and not in, Jaden Jackson has visited Florida and Ohio State so far. He's at Miami this weekend and he will visit Texas. Oklahoma doesn't have an OV from him. So I think that pretty much says all that needs to be said with Jaden Jackson. But I do think he did like I don't know what it was. It might have been like a top 8 or something. And I do think Oklahoma did make it.
He made his top 5 as well. I think it was a top 12 and then the top 5.
Yeah.
And speaking of the defensive line, a guy that I'm really interested to watch this weekend is Zena Umeozulu, because it seems like that if OU has been wanting to press there for the longest time, that they can make some sort of noise in his recruitment. He's a guy his recruitment's pretty open right now. I mean, Brody, has he taken an official visit yet, or is OU his first?
Zena?
Yeah. Because I don't know if he may have visited Texas. I could be wrong on that.
His brother plays for Texas, so he doesn't visit Texas until next weekend, and he's been there a total of 5 times. But Texas that seems like the easy choice, like the easy pick there.
I still think that if Oklahoma pushes for him hard, I think it'll be an Oklahoma-Texas battle. And Oklahoma, like, their edge targets right now, these last 2 cycles, Miguel Chavis, the dude has done one heck of a job. I mean, he gets all the praise. Him and DeMarco Murray both have recruited over these last 2 cycles. Even though DeMarco Murray doesn't have anyone committed yet, if he can get Durham and Taylor Tatum and Xavier Robinson, you talk about just one heck of a job from those 2 guys. And Chavis is right in the thick of it with Winery, Jay-Sean Ross, Danny Okoye, 3 elite edge targets that we're not
Yes.
Okoye
is in Austin this weekend, right?
With the running backs, we can talk about that. Xavier Robinson, OV'd Monday, Tuesday, and he's back in town. That's one that, you can feel very confident about. And then with Tatum and Durham, I'd put a lot of money that they only get one of those 2, and that one being Caden Durham. With Taylor Tatum, it's so interesting because, he's the MLB. That's a possibility for him, as like more than I really thought it was going to be. But we got a comment. Braden says, "Have we heard anything about David Stone?" Okay, with David Stone, for everyone in here,
follow the visits. That's all I'll say. Follow the visits.
There's not much more you can hear about David Stone until a commitment, if that makes sense. And what I'm saying is, OU can't be in a better spot than what they are with David Stone. The dude, he's been on campus so much recently. That OU's in a great spot there.
Yeah, and with David Stone, I think so many Sooner fans have PTSD back to the David Hicks situation. And that's why they're so hesitant.
It's not just David Hicks.
And yes, no, I know that.
Past.
But really, David Hicks was kind of the only guy that OU had right in their hands till NIL and his parents being more focused on money. I personally think it's for him to go to Texas A&M. And I think that was Stone. If he does, in my opinion, he is going to end up a Sooner right now, but it's a 5-star defensive lineman recruitment, so anything can happen.
Boomer Sooner says, did y'all younger Sooner fans know that Todd Bates was on the 03 team that came to Norman my freshman year at OU as a Bama linebacker?
I knew that Todd Bates played for Alabama. That's something. Brody, how feeling about James Nesta this weekend? Because, he has a chance to get highly picked in the MLB in these next few years. So, obviously, that is going to be an influence on his recruitment.
Yeah. That one, this is obviously his first time being on campus. So, you'd imagine Oklahoma will be able to make some waves in that recruitment. Just anytime you get a recruit on campus for the first time. But he has visited Miami and North Carolina. I'd put Miami as the favorite heading into the weekend. But again, like you'd expect things to change once you get him on campus in Norman. And that's one that Oklahoma that's one that you just have to land. Like James Nesta, with the way the linebacker board looks in the 2024 class, you got to get James Nesta. That's one you need. But I mean, they're not in a bad spot linebacker wise because of what they signed last class.
Yeah, I agree. And so many people are focused on Braden Ply in Oregon and James Nesta, his recruitment. This is his first time ever to OU. I said this comparison for on this podcast to the Lewis Carter recruitment. Lewis Carter's first visit to OU was an official visit, and they are both. Is James Nesta? Where's he out of? What state? I'm 100% sure on that. Is it Florida or is that wrong?
He's out of North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay. So that's something to watch for is if Brent Venables can impress him enough.
It's not comparable to the Lewis Carter one because
he's focusing on baseball. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, this one is going to be you can't just impress him in football. You got to impress him in baseball as well.
Well, with baseball, just looking at his perfect game profile, he's a 9 on perfect game, which is just a top 10 round pick MLB guy. And for guys that are two sports, maybe I have a different approach than a lot of people do. That's not high enough of a draft pick to take the MLB money because you can go play college football, see how that goes, still play college baseball, and then in 3 years get drafted again, probably at the same spot. Well, there's no reason to take the money now when NIL is a thing where you're going to get pretty much the same amount of money from your NIL deal when you go to play college football.
Yeah, we got a question from 1982 Boomer Sooner. Chavis/BV have been busy with transfer portal /freshman recruitment. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Yeah, if you're talking about Chavis, I'm assuming you're talking about defensive ends. And Chavis did a great job in the portal with that, but they've been a lot less busy in the portal recently. As far as freshmen are concerned, yes, you had Williams Winery on campus last weekend. You got Wyatt Gilmore on campus this weekend. Zena Umeazulu on campus this weekend. You got Jay-Sean Ross on campus this weekend. So there's a lot, like Nigel Smith on campus this weekend. There's a lot of defensive ends in, and yeah, they're going to be busy with that. And I think they've done a good job as far as the defensive end is concerned so far. Jose Martinez says, do recruits typically stay all weekend or is it a nightly event?
It's all weekend.
It's all weekend, so they all got in today and they'll leave sometime Sunday, I'd assume. Here's the thing though, the ones that went to camp, they've been in Norman since like Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And like particularly with David Stone, he took an unofficial visit, I believe, or something like that. He was on campus on Wednesday and Thursday as well. So, I mean, guys have been on campus a lot. So that does help Oklahoma. You mentioned, or we talked about Xavier Robinson, who OV'd. Now he's going to be in for unofficial. So, yeah, they stay all weekend with the OVs. So they'll do stuff tonight. I don't know if you've seen the pictures on the field.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff on the field tonight, and then they'll go. I'd imagine, from what I've heard, it's going to be the same as last week, where they go out to Toby Keith's hangar, and then they have a breakfast on Sunday. So that's kind of how that works. You got all the events each day.
Yeah. Speaking of transfer portal, Brody, can you help me with his name? But OU added a 392 pound.
He's actually 340 now. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, okay, still that you talk about a massive run stopper, 340-pound defensive tackle, and he's 6'2". So for offensive line to be able to blow him off the ball, get underneath his pads is going to be super difficult. And he'll be used situationally, and it's like a spot where if it doesn't work out for OU, it's like, okay, that's something we took a risk on, not that big of a deal. But if he can pan out for you and be really good at run stopping, especially with him, because he's only going to be, a sophomore at OU?
Yeah.
And he can come in and can develop for a year, play in the SEC, and just be a situational run stopper, because in the SEC, you need to have some big boys up the middle in order to stop the run.
He's not going to be playing this year. He's not going to be with the team. He's not going to be with the team until 2024.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was coming in.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be able to play situationally this year as well.
No, he's not going to be able to play this year. He's 2024. So he'll have
Hey, so what's
I
he doing for 23 then?
probably just getting more physically ready.
I agree. A true nose guard that you need to have. OU over these last really, I mean, they haven't had a dominant nose guard really in a while. It seems like.
Yeah, but
Like
David
obviously
Stone's
they've had some.
guy.
What?
David Stone's not going to play nose. He'll play
Yeah, David Stone will not play nose.
Well, you're talking about a down lineman of 3. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about a true nose guard.
Well, and okay, but are you talking about 4 down linemen or 3, Jackson?
3.
Okay. Yeah.
3 down lines. Someone that will just play straight over the center.
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't had. I mean, they've had some really big guys. Like they brought in Philip Paya. He's pretty big.
Terry.
I don't know if anybody can remember Lampkin at OU.
Mm-hmm.
When he was there, his last year there, he finally had a good year. He was a highly recruited kid and just really didn't pan out till his last year and had a really good year. He was kind of a big boy in the middle.
Yeah. So before we get too far into this live stream, wanted to go ahead and remind everyone, if you have not yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're doing all kinds of content on here, and that's not going to stop. But with the recruiting weekend, I wanted to quickly talk about all of the official visitors, just give a rundown of each visitor that's going to be in town. Starting with your 3 5-stars, David Stone, Terry Bussey, Dom McKinley. Then you'll have JJA, Nigel Smith, Caden Durham, Bennett Warren, Taylor Tatum, Zena Umeozulu, Max Anderson's in town, James Nesta, Michael Boganowski, Caden Massey, Wyatt Gilmore, Devon Mitchell, and there's more. And then another one, Samaj Jones, the QB from Philadelphia. So that's
that's the thing I'm looking to watch for is Samaj Jones, because could OU potentially get a commitment from him this weekend? It'll be interesting because, as you know, OU already has Hawkins, and we heard for a while that they could take 2 QBs, and that kind of died down. Now it seemed like it's starting to ramp up again. So, Brody, maybe if you could just give some thoughts on that.
Hunter? Yeah, I talked to Hunter about this. I sent him a text. I was like, man, I'd love to have Maj Jones because this, he's a guy who he's kind of got that dog mentality. So that's what I like about him. I'll put it this way. It's Oklahoma, West Virginia for Maj Jones. And you can imagine the pitch from both schools. But at this moment, considering that they have him in town this weekend, I do think Oklahoma's in a good spot with where they stand with Maj Jones.
Hey, Hunter and Brody, question for y'all as far as the Champion Barbecue. How does the 28 official visitors compare to last few years on this event? Do y'all?
I mean, I can't really speak. I mean, I can make a comment on that, even though you didn't ask me. Really, the Champion Barbecue has historically been the massive recruiting weekend for OU.
I know that. I'm just talking about numbers-wise.
Numbers-wise, it's actually probably a bit less this year because they did the one last weekend where they had a lot of – they had guys like Hawkins, Braden Platt, who were all kind of set to OV in the Champion Barbecue, and then they kind of moved them to the 9th. So this year, I'd imagine the numbers are – I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, just from looking at visitor lists of previous years and this year. I'd imagine that this year's numbers are a little bit lower just because how they had the visits. But I could be wrong. But
now with the new visit rules, Party at the Palace is another recruiting weekend at the end of July. So that's kind of going to split up some guys compared to the past.
And speaking of something that I know we want to mainly focus on recruiting, but I don't know if you guys saw the thing of Nebraska softball season ticket sales this year with Jordy Ball. Jason, Jeremy, I don't know if you guys have seen that, Hunter, Brody on Twitter, but they've sold nearly 2,200 season tickets already.
Well, that's not a shock. So, I figured they'd sell out just like that when she went there. Didn't y'all?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Nebraska fans finally care about softball.
yeah, they haven't before, but now they will.
Yeah, 1982 Boomer Sooner says, I'm not headed to BYU this year, taking my nephew to see CD this year. For those who don't go to BYU, what's the bar scene at BYU?
I can't speak on that. Jason, Jeremy, to you
The
guys.
thing I know about BYU game, the views from Provo are going to be great. And that's, I mean, OU's probably never going to play at BYU again, so that's going to be kind of
all
I've heard is it's just a super great environment all around. I'm not sure on the bar scene exactly, but I know that all around people say that it's a great environment and a place you got to go to.
And I was told to try that they're really famous for their Skyline chili, I guess. So
that's Cincinnati.
That's Cincinnati.
Oh, that's Cincinnati.
Hey, I was in Las Vegas 2 years ago, and the weekend I was there, BYU and Utah were playing at Las Vegas Stadium for the whatever they call that battle. And dude, the fans, BYU and Utah, the fans were great. Just walking around Las Vegas, they were awesome. So I think it would be a great place to go watch a game.
Hopefully, there's not a quarterback injury because
Sam Bradford.
Yeah, when they booed Bradford and all that.
BYU has never been great with OU. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean
that'll be a tough game though.
That is. Who I wasn't able to join your guys' pod whenever you guys reacted to the OU SEC schedule, but I don't know who all was on it because I haven't got the chance to go back and watch it. But you talk about Oklahoma getting a gauntlet of a schedule year one in the SEC. I mean, Oklahoma definitely has. I mean, outside of Florida and Georgia in 2024, OU is debatably is the toughest schedule. So, Jason, are you shocked that they gave Oklahoma that hard of a schedule, or are you a fan of it, or would you rather have seen some of the easier opponents year one?
No, I was wanting Alabama because I want to play the big dogs. But here's the deal. I don't think it's other than – I mean, Auburn you're kind of – you don't know about. I mean, with Hugh Furies. I mean, LSU would be tough at LSU. But I actually, when I saw the schedule, there was two games I wanted. I wanted Alabama in Norman. And if I was a fan, I'd want to go to LSU. And they got them both. So I would be happy if I was an OU fan for the draw that they got. I mean, so I'm not complaining about it. It's the SEC. You're going to have to play them to win the national championship anyway. So I'm just glad they got another year before that. But, hey, Jackson Arnold, man, first game, SEC could be against Alabama.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy, man. Jackson Arnold has the chance to be such an elite player at Oklahoma if he can put it all together and develop properly. And you look forward to that. Oklahoma is not going to have the talent of Alabama no matter what they get in this year's recruiting class. They're not going to be as good in the trenches as Alabama will, especially on the interior defensive line. I think that's something that still needs some work. So that game, you're debatably your first game in the SEC. At least you get it in Norman. It will be interesting to see how OU can compete because OU is really at a disadvantage in every way except to being at home. And quarterback, if Jackson Arnold is what he's supposed to be.
I don't know. That's still almost 2 years away. It's hard for me to judge where OU is going to be by then. They may just dominate, have a great year this year, and they get it. I mean, look, if they get another great recruiting class and you get David Stone in the middle, I mean, this team's going to be right up there with the big boys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing.
Hey, Brody Hunter.
Yeah.
Hey, as far as this weekend recruiting, I mean, no, you probably can't say a number or anything, but what would be like after this weekend, maybe next week, you expect a couple commits to pop?
Yeah, I can agree with that statement.
Okay, Brody, I kind of want to ask you a question on that. If you would have put the over-under at 5.5 commits from this weekend for let's say from the end of this weekend for these next 2 weeks, are you going to take the over or under? So 2 weeks from this Sunday when this weekend ends, it's at 5.5. Would you take the over or under of commits?
What type of commits are we talking about?
Like verbal. Like the commits, they've announced it to the public and everything. Not
Public commits. 2 weeks. I'd probably take. You said 5.
5.5.
I'd probably take the over.
Over.
Yep.
Hunter,
Yeah.
would you take the over?
If one of them is David Stone, I'm taking the over. If not, I'm going to take the under on that one.
So I'm saying if we're talking public, then it's tougher. But
Hey, the David Stone commitment, if it happens, and it happens, if it happens early, is going to be one of the biggest momentum boosts for the recruiting class. It's just like that 5-star quarterback you get. He's the rock of this class.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
And he is such an magnetic personality too. Like people attract to David Stone. Like you see it every single time he comes on to Oklahoma. He's hanging out with Michael Patterson, McDonald, Xavier Robinson, all these guys, Caden Durham. They all talk. They all have had past relationships from football when they all used to live in Oklahoma in the same area. They know each other. So obviously, I would think if a guy like Stone somehow does publicly pop within these next 2 weeks, which I don't see that happening, but if that does happen, you talk about just the floodgates being open for Oklahoma, and you talk about, I mean, potentially by the end of July, them having 12, 13 public commits. There's a real chance that happens.
Hey, with the Stone stuff, I just want to let everyone in this live know very well could happen. Very like the ideal situation is that it happens this weekend. Very well could. But you know, the thing about Stone, it's not, what we want to talk about. Yeah, the personality thing's true, but just go look at his Twitter and imagine, like, just think about how it's going to be once he's committed to a school and how he's going to be able to recruit for that school. It's just pretty obvious. He says, how did Michael Hawkins do at the Elite 11? He did okay. And he got put in a weird spot because at the time he threw, a lot of your elite receivers were already done. But I'm one, and I don't know if y'all agree with this. But I've always looked at Hawkins as not really more of a kind of scrambling pass, not really a pocket passer.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that it can be hard to also evaluate talent sometimes in 7-on-7 because you can't really get the feel for a quarterback's pocket presence or how they read defensive fronts based off what the defensive backs are going to do, or maybe their athleticism. It can be hard to tell sometimes. So I don't know how much you can tell from 7-on-7, but Hawkins is a guy that I think is going to be a developmental project. He's not nearly as ready as Jackson Arnold is right now, if you ask me to.
He's not a developmental guy though.
Well, he still is raw. He still is raw.
Well,
And
as is about every quarterback coming out of high school, though. But I'd agree. He has a little bit to touch up on, but he may not be the only QB in the class. So, that's just something to keep in mind. No.
I'm going to disagree on that. I'm wanting the 9-game schedule.
I want 9.
Really?
I want 9.
I
Me
want
personally,
it's every year that you always have.
I want the free win.
this is
It's
a
not
question.
a free win. You still got to go play a Power 5 team.
Huh?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the game where the SEC teams schedule a bunch of bummy teams.
Well, they changed that rule. You have to. I mean, that 9th game right now is you have to schedule from one of those other 3 or 4 conferences.
Yeah.
Huh?
You
And
can't schedule just a cupcake.
Yeah, but then your other 3 non-con games can be
And it's
random. Yeah, like
And
Well, yeah, but still.
speaking of that, this is a question I was asked earlier. What would you like to see in 2020?
Well, we know who it is in 2025.
I'd like to see Bedlam.
Yeah,
No.
that's not gonna happen though.
It's not.
There's
Oh, Oklahoma
do
State
it.
does not. want to do
We
that.
know who it's going to be in 25, though.
Who's that?
Who?
Michigan.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Oh, yeah, Michigan.
Hey, do you guys know the available teams for 24? Because I can't find it anywhere.
As far as the other non-con games,
See,
Yeah,
well,
once
okay.
they have a
Well,
schedule.
for me personally, a team I would like to see is, I don't know how you guys feel about this, is Colorado. I just think that
Depends if they have an opening or not.
to
yeah,
me,
I would like to see Oklahoma play Colorado. I think that's
to me, as a fan, and I haven't been in the Big 12 for so long, if you're going to play a Big 12 team, it's OSU or nobody, because I don't want to play any of those teams anymore. To be honest,
Definitely not K-State.
Jimmy
Tech,
said
none of-
Rutgers.
Rutgers, I like that.
Jimmy said Rutgers. Yeah, I'll take that.
Who said Rutgers?
Jimmy?
Satterfield.
Yeah, I'm fine with Rutgers. How about Clemson?
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
I'd like
In
to see that.
24,
I don't
would
think
not
they
like-
have an opening. I
In
can
I'd like to see
24, I
that.
wouldn't want to see Clemson. I'm not like that's no ducking, but looking at the schedule as is, like you need like a Nebraska,
Mhm.
not a Rutgers.
Hey, I tell
Well,
you,
no,
David, I tell
they
you,
don't play Nebraska
Iowa.
again until
Iowa.
2031.
Iowa, like a team that level.
Iowa would be a good matchup. I like to play them.
And I don't know how good Rutgers is. I mean that I don't know, just a team that's better than your UTEP or better than your Arkansas State. And I
Hey,
think-
Brody and Hunter, I
Yeah.
saw Okoye's in Austin this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of recruits.
Are they having a big weekend this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
They're taking the Lincoln Riley route with bringing out all the flashy cars for them.
Oklahoma pretty much did that thing last week with
Yeah, there's cars and private jets.
yeah,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
In Norman?
Yeah, at
Yeah,
Toby
Toby
Keith's
Keith's.
hangar.
Oh, yeah.
These are two good opponents.
Yeah, those are both really good
I
opponents.
do like Washington.
Oh, you played them on a few, I don't know how many years ago, but they did. I remember them going to Washington, I believe.
Mhm.
And Northwestern, too, back in the day of Justin Fuente. They opened up with Northwestern.
Yeah. Northwestern, Jason Brody, I don't know. Who's the coach for Northwestern again? What's his name?
Fitzgerald? Pat
Yes, thank you.
Fitzgerald?
Pat Fitzgerald.
Yep.
Hasn't he's just been there for the longest time, hasn't
Well,
he?
he played there. I mean, he's not probably not leaving anytime soon. That was his alma mater. So
Yeah. And I mean, Washington this year, they have Michael Penix Jr. He's a really good quarterback, but like to me, I mean, I don't really know what teams are left, as Hunter said. So it really is kind of hard to determine who you'd want to play at this point.
I think Pac-12
Oregon, I think I would want to schedule Oregon. That'd be a team I'd like to play. Oregon.
no,
they don't have a opening in 24. I do think the Pac-12 is going to 4 non-conferences. One team I am looking at, if that's the case, is Utah. But again,
that would be fun.
I don't know if they're willing
Dude, USC. I want to play USC.
because they already have BYU and Baylor on that schedule. So that's 2 Power Fives there.
Did y'all see the thing from Castiglione talking about the Army game? How it's not close to getting that one back. I don't want any part of Army again.
No, I want to play at West Point.
Well,
That's
at
the
West
one
Point
game
would be
that-
cool, but I'm just saying in Norman, that the type of offense they run is just.
Well, we have a different defense now, Jay.
Well, that's true. That's true, but it's just.
Well, we expect to have a different defense.
We do have a different defense.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Never mind.
Hey, how about old Latrell McCutcheon transferring again, guys?
That's the most funny thing I've ever seen.
I honestly hope he ends up at a D3 school.
He's
can.
not-
No,
he's going
He's going to
D1.
go to Texas State. He'll go to the feeder school, Texas
Yeah.
State. That's why.
Are they D1 in football?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're D1. Their coach, Jason, do you remember who they hired as their coach? Texas State?
No.
It's like DJ Kenny, maybe his name.
Oh,
DJ.
yeah. Jay Kenny from Tulsa. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, he has some Oklahoma ties. I thought it's really just I think an exciting weekend for Oklahoma in recruiting with them hosting 28 guys. As Brent Venables said, they're hosting 28 monsters. So you're muted.
28 official visitors.
Yeah, 28.
Yeah,
There we go,
officially.
28 official visitors. Yes, that's correct. Brody, if you had to give me one name to pop a public commitment shortly after the Champion Barbecue, who would you put your money on if you had to put down money?
Ooh. I'm interested to hear what Hunter says on this one too, but there's multiple. I'm trying to figure out which one. I'd say Jay Sean Ross. That's kind of the easy pick right now. I think. He's not
will
shy
y'all
about.
tell me? Hey, will y'all tell me and maybe the viewers a little bit about him, because this seems like it kind of came out of nowhere. Am I wrong?
No, you are completely right. He was going to originally take his commitment, not commit till November. That was October, November. He was going to focus on his senior year in football and then make his commitment after. But Oklahoma's been pressing on him hard. I don't know if you guys heard the story that was told on the radio of where a fan drove by while they were at camp, screamed boomer out the window to all the coaches. No one responded. And Jay Sean Ross proceeds, and it's the only one that turns around and screams sooner back to the fans. So you've seen him on social media. The kid, he's been retweeting OU stuff, been interacting with OU fans. He's not shy. He's all OU right now. So, I mean, another guy is Xavier Robinson to watch for.
That'd be my pick.
Yeah, that's who I was going with.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that one.
He's been there pretty much all week at camp, and then now with the OV. So,
and then that's one that you could see go. Yeah,
and with him, people that are familiar with high school football in Oklahoma, Carl Albert is a powerhouse. They've won 17 state championships in 5A. And their single season leading rusher is Xavier Robinson. So that's pretty telling on how good the kid is. Rushed for almost 2 yards shy of 2,600 last year with 39 touchdowns.
And he's a beast too.
Yeah,
he's
massive. He's one of the biggest running backs I've seen in high school football.
And like you talk about Carl Albert, they legitimately have 4 or 5 Power 5 players on their team right now. 4 or 5 for what are they? They're 5A in Oklahoma, is that right? 5A, Hunter?
Yeah, they're 5A, and they got a lot of talent. They just always do. They're in Midwest City, and it's a very well-known school. They win state championships in pretty much every single sport. Jay might remember this a few years back. I think they won the state championship with somebody named Jacob Tyler Romuto as their quarterback. Now, the best catcher in baseball in the MLB for the Phillies. So they win it in baseball and football pretty much every year.
Mm-hmm. Hey, talk about just a powerhouse for athletics. Where it's at. Brody, with the Williams Nwaneri visiting Tennessee this weekend, where would you, if you were to put down your money right now, not knowing what's going to happen at the Tennessee visit, would you still be all in on Williams Nwaneri picking Oklahoma, or would you be hesitant?
Yeah, Oklahoma still is the odds-on favorite to land Nwaneri right now for sure. The Tennessee visit can make it interesting, but ultimately, I don't think it'll. Maybe they make up some ground, but Yeah, Oklahoma's still the odds-on favorite to land Winery.
Yeah, I agree. Well,
This is a good question.
that's not even a guarantee he's coming to Oklahoma.
No.
Guarantee.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'd imagine probably running back.
Yeah.
Running back. That's what I'd say. If I was a betting man, I'd bet that he plays running back and kind of like a Christian McCaffrey type role where he catches a lot, like Debo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey type role. That's what I think Andy Bass will play in college.
I feel like I heard this. I don't know if this is true, but didn't he start off his high school career as a slot receiver?
Maybe.
Andy Bass. I don't know that. But yeah, that dude's just a pure athlete. And it's like one of those kids out of Oklahoma is this is why Oklahoma football is so underrated in my opinion, because he could come. Yeah, I bet he could go out of state and start at a lot of the bigger schools because the dude is truly just an elite athlete that can do everything. And it's like the same with the Xavier Robinson. He can do so many different things for you that to get guys like those on your team going into SEC are going to be important. Brody,
Yeah.
where so I know I'm sure we all have seen the dumb reports from Texas Insider about Peyton Bowen. I don't know if you've seen that about him not being happy with Oklahoma and him wanting to leave and Eli Bowen not.
Where have you seen that?
Are we acknowledging this?
Well,
Yeah.
no, I know. I was saying that's what I was saying. It was a dumb report. I was just
That's not even worth.
I never
bringing
heard
up.
about that report.
no. You didn't hear about that. That was all over Twitter. I didn't know if you ever saw that or not. No.
It's all false.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. But like,
Hey, I love the time of the year of camp week, seeing the best back in the state for the class of 2026. Caden Jones finally get that offer from OU. I honestly thought we already offered him because he's been on campus so much. I swear the only guy who's been on campus more than him as of late is probably David Stone.
Kevin Sperry.
Yeah, Kevin Sperry too. That's another one that's been there a lot. So it's great to see him finally get that offer. And he's a guy that really might take Jinx a long way, probably back to the state championship this year.
Yeah, he's a really good player just from last year at Broken Arrow. But y'all know his size and stuff because Kewan wasn't the biggest back.
I think Caden's only 5'9".
Yeah, Kewan probably wasn't.
Again, it's hard to tell. It's only a freshman going into his
No,
sophomore.
yeah, I mean,
Oh,
his
I know.
Twitter bio says 6 foot 170. So, I mean, that's something that's yeah, that's what his prep red zone profile says too, 6 foot. So, yeah, but Caden Jones, man, he's a guy I'm really looking forward to going to watch this year, especially with my school at Bixby being such a big rival with Jinx. I think because I'm used to seeing Bixby have a guy like Braylon on their team, someone that's just an elite playmaker with the ball in their hands so fast, and it'll be fun, I think, to get to watch Bixby go against someone like that in Caden Jones. Jason.
Oh yeah.
Jason.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about recruiting for Brody and Hunter?
I mean, I know there's 20 minutes there and stuff. I was just interested in. I know it's a mixture of 24 and 25 guys, and we heard a lot about Boganowski. Maybe about 3 weeks ago, just kind of where OU's at with Boganowski.
Yeah. You did say we did hear a lot about that a couple weeks ago. This is, he's the type of guy that when he takes his visit, you really just want to make a lot of progress with. And I'd still say Oklahoma's in a great spot. They for sure are, but they can really this weekend flip everything. But I mean, Kansas State's not going to be easy to beat just because he's an in-state guy. Kansas State and Kansas are really. There's one more school. Don't remember, but yeah, that. Huh?
For who?
Boganowski, but
Who were the schools you said?
I said Kansas and K-State. Those are the two main schools I'd watch.
And he also is going to visit Florida State.
Yeah, but maybe they can flip that around this week. So O-line recruiting, as Jimmy asks. So you had the big O-line recruiting weekend was last weekend with guys like Grant Bricks, Eddie Pierre-Louis, Jason Zandamalea, Weston Davis, Marquez Easley, all those guys. Grant Bricks, Oklahoma's a good spot there. Isaiah Autry, they already have him committed. So the O-line recruiting, it's in a weird spot because there's just a lot of guys where it's like, okay, they're in a good spot, but we need to see more. Like, can we get a couple commitments, push some things along, if that makes sense. But one of the, I'm sure you've heard the name Casey Poe. Hunter talked with Casey Poe. Hunter, you probably have a little bit more on Casey Poe. You could speak on that situation.
His situation is starting to turn into an interesting one. You've kind of got conflicting reports on if he's going to get the OU OV or not. I think it's out of his control on that issue, but just going off of the latest thing he said to Tech's Rivals page, he said the three schools he talks to the most is Texas Tech, Alabama, and Oklahoma. So if Oklahoma can't get an OV out of them, that's really going to be a big blow for this recruiting class. And just talking to Casey Poe, he is the guy that OU is looking for in this culture that Venables has built. He's very big on that. He's mentioned that just in a 10-minute phone call I had with him. That was one of the things that was brought up the most is just everything Venables is doing at OU. His relationship with Coach Biedenbow. Isaiah Autry is one that he talks to a lot. So with him, if we can get him to party at the Palace, I would hope we could somehow get Isaiah Autry in for an unofficial to kind of host him and be with them that weekend. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch for sure. It will not drag into the season. He's going to have his commitment wrapped up by the start of fall camp for football.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the thing that stood out to me in the article you put out by Casey Poe was how much he values the culture that Oklahoma is having. And I think it was Jason Zandamalea that did an interview with Steve Wiltfong. Brody, is that right? Where he made the comment to Oklahoma and Brent Venables, how much he enjoyed how accountable Brent Venables holds his players and the culture there. I don't know, maybe if you could speak on Jason Zandamalea, because that's really a guy I'm interested on and where Oklahoma stands there.
That one is Florida State's going to be hard to overcome. Florida State will be hard to overcome there. He's from Clearwater, so around that area. Yeah. He is visiting Florida State, I believe. Yeah, he's visiting USC currently. Going to visit Florida State next weekend. So, yeah, don't on too much there.
Yeah. So, anyway, guys, appreciate y'all joining us tonight for the live. If you could do a couple things. First, subscribe, obviously. Subscribe so you can turn your notifications on. So as we release these videos, you're notified. And when we go live, you're notified. Also, Brody and Hunter everyone follow them on Twitter. They will be doing updates as they hear from the weekend, either through Twitter, through video. So please stay tuned for that. And thanks for joining tonight. Let's have a great weekend at Champ U, guys. Boomer.